Mm.
Juno showed up too.
War nicht. War hier schon. Still was obviously gonna be the one who'd end up solved.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Ah, they're all down! Even the social media sites that aren't for hackers are gone.
Yeah.
Holy luck!
Kennen wir doch schon, hä?
Here it is. All right, then I'll climb the egg tower.
Hold on! I figured out Juno's secret!
Huh? Miss Lid?
The trick to Juno's disappearing and reappearing. No, her warping.
Mhm.
I gotcha. Is this for real?
Mhm.
Is his sacrament more powerful somehow? I'll do what I can first. I'll do what I can first. Okay, next move. I'll do what I can first. Shit, shit, shit! Shit, shit, shit! Shit, shit, shit! No! Shit, shit, shit!
Bad news, Polon. An agent's got the little lady.
What? What about Rosario?
No idea. Don't know if she's even breathing.
Wait! Shit! Wait!
There you are. Well.
Yeah, good call.
Before anything else could happen, I hovered over the save data. I contacted Momo and Rosario as I watched the police car head for the prefab.
What's the situation there?
Rosario can't run any further, so we're gonna stay and fight Ronan.
I have an idea of what his sacrament might be. I think we'll manage.
No, don't try anything. Just run away.
Rosario's too injured for that.
If you try to fight Ronan, the agents will catch you. Your plan isn't gonna work. Leave Rosario and get out of there. You're the one the agents want. Rosario might actually be safer if you go.
But
That was when the police car crashed into the prefab and caught fire.
Momo, change the future.
I ended the call and ran the program immediately. The crane dropped the steel beams it was holding. This time around, my plan was wrap things up before Davide had the chance to get serious.
I'm not done yet.
I powered on the engines of the heavy machinery and had them all surge forward. The target was the burning prefab. A dump truck, an excavator, a loader, a bulldozer, and a roller. The 5 of them crushed the tiny prefab.
Ah!
The vehicle suddenly exploded. The smoke billowing from the flames was so thick it could blot out a small high-rise. The fire from the prefab must have set them all alight. I didn't think Davide could have survived the chaos, but I had to be sure. For a while I just stood there and watched out for him.
What?
I heard a sound. By the time I realized it was police sirens, several police cars had driven on site. They stopped near me and out of them stepped...
Shit! It's Foreign Affairs!
It looked like the people who arrested Bambi had called their peeps. At the moment, both the Holy Office 513 and the TMPD were our enemies. That meant taking Davide down wouldn't be the end of this. The countdown to the suicides was getting closer and closer to 0, but it didn't look like going to the egg tower was an option yet. After hearing Polon's words and with some begging from Rosario, I finally decided to run away by myself. I had convinced myself that Rosario would be safe without me.
Momo, look.
Rosario sent me a recording that showed Ronan.
You can't defeat me.
His face had remained calm and collected. Ronan's face suddenly hardened. Next, he distracted himself from Rosario and walked away as though he was afraid.
what did you do to him?
Nothing. He was the one who cornered me. I couldn't even touch him. I couldn't do anything. But he got agitated and left.
I couldn't do anything. Those words stood out to me. After
We
all,
acted differently.
What?
We listened to Polon after he loaded, and acted differently from before. What if that affected Ronan somehow?
Then his sacrament must be...
I'd come to the underground part of Shinjuku Station to get away from the police. I couldn't see them, but I could hear their footsteps everywhere.
Polon! We figured out Ronan's sacrament!
Huh? Didn't you run away?
It's because we ran away that we managed to figure out his sacrament. Because we listened to you after you loaded. Maybe it's not really a sacrament after all, though.
What do you mean?
He probably acts based on predictions made by the Vatican's Earth simulator.
Predictions? You mean the thing Rosario was talking about?
They told us that they used security cams and SAPs to analyze and simulate Momo's behavior.
Rosario said the predictions were imprecise, but he can still use them to his advantage. When you load and mess up those predictions, though, you can defeat Ronan.
Polon, we figured out what the pool hack's all about. Someone else is in on it this time.
You... what? He's not working alone?
I'd never heard of Cicada working with an accomplice. Unless he was just using someone again, like he'd used Lime Nukui for the high hack.
We found out that they're using Li-Fi. It's short range, so chances are the perp's in there among the victims.
Oh, I get it. Do you know who it is?
I tried checking the security footage in and around Nishi Shinjuku, but no luck. Sorry.
The first victims are probably a group of 10 or so that stopped at a certain traffic light. Hard to pick out our perp in that crowd, though.
So, how do we complete this quest?
I asked as I looked around for a place to hide.
I have an idea, but we'd need more than the 10 minutes we have left for it.
I'll just load then.
I knew you'd say that. I really don't want you abusing it like this.
You'd rather abandon all those people? Just tell me your idea.
I heard him let out a sigh.
Join the Li-Fi network. Become a part of the pool hack. Willingly.
You serious?
If we join the Li-Fi network, we can use an app called Argos to visualize the connections to the perp. Getting the app should be easy too. If we have someone in the Li-Fi network, someone to check the visualization app, and a few people to restrain the perp, we should be set. The only concern will be the time we'll lose by turning off the BMI.
What do you mean?
The perp's gonna know right away if someone joins the network, meaning we have to get onto the helipad before we find him through the app.
So the people on the perp restraining task are gonna have to sneak onto the helipad first.
With their BMI off, to avoid getting forced into the Li-Fi network like everyone else.
Ah, I see. We'll lose time because it'll be harder to communicate.
And if we mess around too much, the perp's just gonna run the suicide command. And then it'll all be over.
Right.
Whoever was on the helipad would be waiting with their BMI off. That meant they wouldn't know when the perp was found or when to act. I know everyone was gonna be tense and they'd still be real vigilant, but there was no guarantee we'd all stay in sync. The footsteps were getting closer. I hung up and ran as fast as I could. The stars over Shinjuku shone through the gaps in the ceiling above. They reminded me of the scenery around the egg tower. Next I thought of the roads I'd driven on as I looked for somewhere to fight Davide. Then a crater's surroundings, and finally Shinjuku's night skyline.
That reminds me.
I remembered the road I'd taken to the construction site.
I saw this clock.
I felt like I could use it as a signal. If we put the plan into action when the hour hand was over the minute hand, we could sync up even without our BMI. That would save some time. But the MTT building was sealed off. It had been at risk of collapse since the Z morning. One of us would have to go there and move the clock.
I finally see it.
You know, the agents, the second pool hack, I thought they were all massive problems we'd struggle to sort out. But the situation had changed. My friends had turned it all around. We had about 10 minutes left until the countdown ended. What could we do now? How could we solve all these problems? You read my mind.
Hold on! Run!
Things went pretty well this time around, but a lot of lives are on the line here. I need to bet it all on acing the next load. This time I'm gonna do everything perfectly. We came back to right after we got the egg hint.
Listen up! The new quest is actually a second pool hack.
That was the first thing I said across in Winch.
Huh? Pool hack? You mean like the quest last year? Oh yeah! That was on New Year's Eve too.
The scenery intercept one, right?
Wait, how do you know that?
I cheated a bit.
What?
You got the deets?
There might be a perp this time. He used Li-Fi to pull off another pool hack. He's got 50 people standing on the Egg Tower's helipad.
Egg Tower? The one in Shinjuku? Oh! So that's why the hint was egg!
If the perp's one of those people, we should check the security cams in the area to figure out who it is.
No, that didn't work. That's why someone has to go to the helipad and connect to the Li-Fi network. Then someone else has to use Argos.
So it's gonna be a group effort.
Yeah, plus someone to restrain the perp. We're gonna need 4 people in total.
That's a decent plan. The problem is...
We're gonna lose time if we turn off our BMI, right?
Everything I'd said so far was something we talked about last time, but now I was gonna add something new to the mix.
We can use the MTT building.
What?
If we start the op the moment the hands of the clock overlap, everyone should be in sync. That ought to minimize the lag between us.
An analog clock could work as a signal the perp wouldn't notice, but the clock's dead. And there's rubble on the dial.
Wint, you go clear the rubble and get the clock working.
What? Me?
Cross has to use the Argos app, and I got a bunch of stuff to take care of too.
Like Juno and the agents.
Come on, man, you're the only one I can count on for this.
All right, I'll do it.
Never thought an analog clock would end up part of the strategy. But hey, Operation Analog. I like that.
We just had to decide who was gonna go to the helipad.
Hold on! Run!
Yeah, the CCO.
Oz, I need your help.
I told him about the TMPD cooperating with the Holy Office.
I want you to talk to some big shot, like the Superintendent General, and get him to scrap their arrangement with the Holy Office.
You're asking too much of me here, kid.
I know it won't be easy, but people's lives are in danger. Try and work something out for me, will ya?
I hung up on us, then got in touch with Momo and Rosario.
Forget about Juno's code and come to the Egg Tower.
Huh? Did something happen?
An agent's coming after you. His name's Ronan.
Ronan's coming?
Yeah, but we can handle him. That's why I want you to meet up with me and help out.
All right, we'll be there soon.
I didn't mention that Kent Kurihisa might be dead. It was important, but lives were at stake right now. We had to complete the quest first. Win and I rode together until we had to split up. He went to the MTT building, while I went to the Egg Tower. I was here earlier than last time. There were some officers around, but no media people or curious onlookers.
Hold on!
Momo leapt out of the car Rosario was driving, then ran up to me. Rosario joined her moments later.
How are we going to beat the agents?
We're gonna head underground and sneak into the Egg Tower.
So we can ambush them?
Yeah, but before that, we're gonna take Juno down.
What?
He was waiting at the entrance just like last time.
Juno,
What are you two doing here? What about my code? Weren't you going to prove your love for Kent?
I found something more important.
You failure! So you're not even cut out to be a stalker? You've no right to participate in the quests!
I don't need a right to participate.
Oh my! I've never heard trash speak its mind before.
You done talking, Juno? Sorry, but it's time you took off.
Excuse me?
We're taking you down, and we're completing the quest.
You can't do that. Where is all this confidence coming from?
Quantum teleportation. I know all your tricks.
You're dead!
The moment she spoke, I activated my buried block.
She disappeared?
The moment Rosario looked around, searching for Juno. Without moving an inch, I waited for the right moment. I felt something touch my shoulder. But the scenery didn't change at all.
What?
I spun around and reached for her carrier note. It twisted her body and evaded me. But then, Momo darted behind Juno and snatched her carrier note.
Are we taking that?
No! Oh, what sick joke are you playing? This is not supposed to happen! You fucking vermin!
Juno's eyes seemed to change color as she charged at Momo.
Not so fast!
Rosario smashed her with a roundhouse kick. Juno's body flew through the air and collided with one of the entrance pillars. She slid down and collapsed on the floor. She was completely still and her face pale.
Did you kill her?
No, just knocked her out.
Seeing an agent of the church showing off her skills actually kinda scared me.
Hold on, are you sure that using Nonno's gadget was the right idea? We still have mine, but weren't they meant to stop the agents?
The gadgets didn't really work on the agents, which figures. Don't worry though, I already have an idea of how to beat them.
Hey, you got 2 agents heading your way, and you won't believe this, but one of them's...
Davide, right? The guy who's supposed to be dead? I have a plan. You just keep working with the TMPD, okay?
Okay. I saved right here and took my keyboard out of my pocket. Seconds later, I was using it to hack the building system.
Rosario, we gotta discuss the plan. There they are.
A few minutes had passed since Oz's warning. The agents came in through the front entrance.
The information we got was right.
A guy in a hood and another guy who was rotting away. Davide's handler was nowhere to be seen. Lucky him.
They sent 2 of their most powerful agents. 513 must be quaking in their boots.
Though Rosario's words were optimistically dry, her eyes didn't seem half as cheery. She probably understood better than anyone the skill gap between herself and the other 2 agents.
This plan of mine is centered around my loading. I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to lose at least once.
Of course, by loading I could erase that defeat from history. But that didn't change the fact that Rosario was going to get hurt.
I swore an oath that I'd give my life to save the world. If it helps us win, I'll do whatever you need me to.
She showed herself to them. They stayed hidden behind a nearby pillar. Momo was hiding behind another pillar beside Juno's unconscious body.
You too shall know the pain of death.
He took off both of his gloves. A moment later, he kicked off the floor. In seconds, his huge bear-like body was inches from Rosario.
Burn.
Glowing with the heat of a furnace, Davide swung for her with his red-hot hand. Before the fist could touch her, Rosario struck his wrist and redirected the attack. He missed. Without saying a word, she deflected the following attack too. Rosario said she'd acquired info on the agents she'd teamed up with, and that included Davide's fighting style apparently. Watching her, I felt pretty damn grateful she was on our side. In my keyboard, I slipped into the building system again. As soon as I could, I turned off the entrance lights. The surroundings were instantly covered in darkness. The little light coming from the door, but it wasn't even enough to see anyone else.
Rosario, now!
I'd only given her one order. Attack Ronin when the lights go out. I heard the crack of a gunshot. Someone collapsed and I turned the lights back on. Momo gasped. She was looking at Rosario, who lay on the ground. There was a hole in her head. The light had faded from her eyes, but they were still fixed on her target. The agent, Ronin. Not even as he lowered his gun did Ronin's expression change. It was one that shot Rosario in the darkness.
Are you doing this at random?
Rosario?
Momo knew the plan, but her heart ached seeing Rosario like this. I felt
Now
the
it's
same.
our turn. Come on, just watch.
Okay. I opened the load screen and made ready to flee this reality. Her allies hiding behind the pillars, Rosario stood ready to protect them from the agents.
You too shall know the pain of death.
Davide took off both of his gloves and kicked off the ground.
Burn.
He raced toward Rosario at an inhuman speed, then threw a punch with his superheated fist. Davide's onslaught was brutal, but Rosario countered every one of his attacks. As the battle raged on, Colon, still hidden, hacked the building. It switched out the lights.
Rosario, now!
Intense sounds echoed through the dark. The room lit up as suddenly as it had darkened, and Momo looked on, perplexed at Davide, lying on the ground. He'd been shot in the head.
How?
Thoroughly dumbfounded, Ronin lowered his gun. His face had lost its composure. His eyes were open wide, and his breathing was straight.
I shot you.
In your predictions, at least.
What do you know?
That you are not long for this world.
Ronin took out his input device. It was a cryptex. A certain novel, which was adapted to film, features a cryptex containing a paper that reveals the location of the Holy Grail. Reminiscent of a pipe puzzle, he started rotating its dials.
He's recalculating!
He won't!
Rosario trained a gun on the hooded agent. Ronin fired first. He missed. His face turned pale the moment he realized what he'd done.
Recalculate.
He hid behind a pillar. But Rosario was on him. At point-blank range, she pulled the trigger. Ronin dodged the shot, but barely. It meant he'd finished recalculating in time. He fired back. Right between Rosario's eyes was where he'd aimed at least. Moments before he fired, she'd grabbed Ronin's arm and thrown off his aim.
Impossible. This isn't a computation error. The future
has changed?
So his app's real. At least if your panicking is anything to go by.
App? What are you talking about?
Who knows?
Ronan fired off round after round, by twisting a body and using a gun to redirect Ronan's. Rosario dodged every shot. Her breathing was steady and her body relaxed. The same composed smile that graced Ronan's lips earlier was playing across Rosario's now.
How? How can you change the future?
Those who know the future can change it. That's all there is to it.
Ronan pulled the trigger with a desperate aggression, but this time the gun was silent. Consumed by panic, he hadn't realized he was out of ammo.
I refuse to accept this future.
Don't worry, you don't have to. Because you won't be part of it.
Ronan collapsed as the bullet burst from the back of his head. His lifeless face was warped in shock. Okay. The Superintendent General, Secretary General Nimura, and the Superintendent Vice General sat in the office. Sitting on a couch, the Secretary General listened to the Superintendent General's progress report on the TMPD 513 joint mission.
Wait! Lower-rank officers aren't allowed to...
The office door swung open. The one who barged in without permission was Kaoru Zamezu.
Who are you? We're discussing an important matter with Secretary General Nimura.
Wait, you're from the Cybercrimes Division.
Chief Zamezu, I apologize for the intrusion, but I want you to put your conversation on hold and look over these documents.
We don't have time for that. Get him out of here!
Right away, sir.
Before the Superintendent General could approach him, Kaoru sent some data to their tablets through his BMI.
These are...
communication logs?
They're between Secretary General Nimura and the Holy Office 513. As you can see, he used the Holy Office for his own gain.
What?
Boss had acquired most of the documents during his investigation into the Gaia institution. They weren't enough to stop Project Gaia, but they had immense value here.
Doesn't look like these were obtained legally.
I'll take responsibility for that. But first, Mr. Nimura has to be punished. He ordered the assassination of the previous Secretary General. Nimura, you cooperated with the Holy Office to repay them for a personal favor. You've also blackmailed the Superintendent General, yes?
Baseless nonsense.
If the police won't punish you, perhaps society will. What if I leaked this information to the public?
You wouldn't.
Before you try anything, know that you can't make this go away by silencing me. If anything happens to me, these documents go public.
Do you think that anyone will believe this nonsensical forgery? This is absurd.
It's not absurd at all.
What?
This information is worth looking into, even if there's a chance it was acquired through illegitimate channels.
Have you lost your mind? Don't you care about your family?
I was mistaken. I should never have allowed you to blackmail me.
Huh.
Vice General, order all departments to cease cooperation with the Holy Office 513.
Right away.
Secretary General Nimura, you...
Before anyone could apprehend him, Nimura pulled a knife. He gripped the handle with shaking hands.
In God's name.
And slit his own neck. He collapsed.
This is just like what happened during the high hack.
Vice General and another officer ran over to him in an attempt to stop the bleeding.
He's losing too much blood!
I'll call an ambulance!
Amidst the chaos, Kaoru called his subordinates via BMI.
Our agreement with the Holy Office is dissolved. Return to the quest immediately.
Unbelievable. You defeated 2 agents at once.
Dumbfounded, Momo looked down at the bodies of Davide and Ronin. couldn't stop blinking. This probably didn't feel real to her.
I couldn't have pulled this off without Rosario.
I simply did as you ordered.
Honestly, I had to keep loading over and over. Oh. The Holy Officer's computation speed was much faster than I'd expected. Every time they were done recalculating, Ronin would kill Rosario. This victory was thanks to countless loads that ended in failure. That...
Back. Give it back.
Conscious again, Juno stood up slowly and glared at us.
Give me back my carrier node. I need to complete the quest. I'll die if I don't. I'll kill you, and then off myself too!
Juno shrieked as Juno shrieked and lunged for my neck, her expression twisting her face until she looked like a witch from some fairy tale.
Hold on!
Before she could do that, I grabbed her arms and stopped her.
Don't worry. I'm fine.
I'll kill you. I'll kill you and kill myself!
Kent Korihisa is dead, isn't he?
Her arms slackened.
What do you mean?
You've made it to the coordinates?
You could say that. When I asked if you were Cicada's little sister, you didn't deny it. Kent Korihisa is dead, but he's Cicada too. There's something going on behind the scenes, right?
Juno didn't respond. Silence was the answer I needed.
All right. If Cicada wants a highly intelligent individual, he's gonna get one.
Juno walked away from me and dropped to the ground.
Kent, look at me, dear brother. Acknowledge me. The #1 spot is safe with me. I'll prove myself worthy of your attention, of your recognition. And when you look at me and acknowledge me, I'll kill myself right before your eyes. That way, I'll stay in your mind forever. We'll never be apart again. Kent, please. I love you. I love you so much. From the bottom of my heart.
Her eyes dulled as she curled up into a fetal position. We sussed out her teleportation trick, grabbed her carrier node and learned about Kent's death. Anyone would give up after that.
Hold on. That can't be true, can it? Kent Korihisa must be alive.
No. You were the ones who told me you saw a dead body. But you also said you didn't know if it was really him. But after seeing Juno's reaction, I know that chasing Cicada down is the right thing to do. That's why everything's gonna work out. Trust me.
Nodded, but without much confidence. It must have been hard for her to keep up with all this. That was when I heard voices at the door. A familiar and colorful trio were there.
Hold on, how's the quest going?
Oh, it's the Cyberforce dolls.
I ran up to them and looked into her eyes.
Hey, you're kinda close there. I know legal boundaries mean nothing to you, but have some respect for physical ones, okay?
I just wanted to check if you were okay. You had to work with the Holy Office, didn't you? You alright?
We were cooperating with them.
So...
But now we're totally clean. Jeez, I was embarrassed to be a police officer working with those sickos.
Oh, I'm real glad to hear that.
Oz and Mr. Samizu must have worked hard to get that agreement voided.
I'm surprised you care so much.
Of course I care. You saved my life.
Excuse me? What are you talking about?
I should have thanked her before I loaded. It was too late for that now, though, so...
I'll never forget what you did for me. Seriously.
Okay. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but it's an officer's job to keep people smiling. If you ever need help, I'll be there for you.
Mombi pooped out her chest.
Oh, but only when it's legal.
Yeah, I know.
Hold on. I've tuned the visualization app. How are things over there?
We took care of Juno and the agents, and we have the 4 people we need. We're about to go to the helipad. Wind, how's it going on your end?
Sorry, this is gonna take a while longer, but I'll make it in time, I promise.
We can complete the quest if we go to the helipad?
Yeah, we have a plan.
The elevator isn't working, so we'll have to go up to the 50th floor on foot.
The countdown ends in 24 minutes. Will we make it?
We should just... Wait, will we?
Our plan was gonna start at midnight on the docks, when the hour and meant hands touched. That meant we only had 19 minutes to get into our positions. And since we'd have to sneak onto the helipad too, we probably didn't even have that long.
Oh, hey! Why don't you use bikes?
Jumping from the top of a neighboring building onto the egg tower. That was what Bambi meant when she suggested we use bikes. Even if we didn't make it onto the 50th floor at the top, we could still save walking time if we landed on one of the higher floors.
That idea's crazy! What kind of cop are you?
One who trusts Iroha's skills. And you look like you're good on a graper too. Unless, what, you don't think you'll stick the landing?
Oh, I'll stick it. I'll show you what I can do.
With the donuts on the rooftop, gradually building speed. Distance from here to the egg tower was about 30 meters. We wouldn't make the jump if we weren't going fast enough. The force focused on accelerating and then...
You ready?
Yeah!
Hold on tight!
Once it broke 100 kilometers per hour, I quit making circles and went for the jump. I sped toward the makeshift ramp we'd made from metal sheets, accelerating harder as I got closer. It was 50 meters to the ramp, but I closed the distance in a moment. And we were launched into the air. It pierced the cold dark of the evening. I felt myself breaking through the dense wall of air. This must have been what it was like to be a stuntman. Riding a graper nearly 100 meters above ground felt so unreal that I couldn't believe there weren't any cameras around. I slowly began to lose speed. Then I felt like we were floating. I could feel my stomach rise.
Bobby, now!
I felt her raising a gun behind me. She aimed right ahead of us.
Come on! Hit!
One of the egg tower's big glass windows shattered. A moment later, my graper was inside the building. I hit the brakes the moment we landed. We skidded across the floor, leaving thick tire tracks behind us.
Stop!
The giant pillar in front was getting real close, real fast. But brought the graper to a stop right as the front wheel touched it.
That was easy.
Yeah, it was nothing!
As we climbed off the graper, Iroha and Rico sailed in through the same window we'd come through. The landing was a lot more graceful.
Sorry for the wait.
Her expression was as relaxed as ever. It was like the possibility of failure had never crossed her mind.
Dude!
He must have been used to pulling off crazy stunts like this. Anyway, now that we'd made it to the 31st floor of the egg tower, we could finish our climb to the helipad on foot.
You can do it, Windy!
Yeah.
Wynn had made it to the 25th floor and turned on the analog clock. His next task was removing the rubble, which meant climbing an outside ladder. On his belt was a small electric hammer he'd bought at an electronics store right before closing time. He needed a tool for the job. Strong winds blowing from the Shinjuku crater battered him.
Come on! Why'd the wind have to pick up now? I'm no good with this kind of thing!
He clung to the ladder and waited for the air to calm.
All right.
He continued his climb when it seemed safe. But the moment he did, the rung he stepped on shattered and his body swung sideways. He kept himself from falling. But the electric hammer on his belt detached and fell to the bottom of the ladder. There were 7 minutes left until the plan began. Wind clambered back down to retrieve his hammer. Using the debris-laden emergency stairwell, we somehow made it to the top. The door to the helipad hung wide open, and a cold wind was blowing in from outside. We couldn't see any of the victims from here though. We had 4 minutes left before it was time to put our plan into action. I told them all about Operation Analog on the way, but since we had the time, I figured I'd run it by them again.
Alright, let's go through this one last time.
Okay.
First, Bombi, Rico, and I will head onto the helipad with our BMI off so the perp doesn't realize we're there.
Nice of you to volunteer us for this part.
The plan starts the moment the hands on the MTT building's clock line up at exactly midnight.
And that's when I should turn on my BMI, right?
Yeah, you'll join the Li-Fi network and get infected with the pool hack virus. Once you've done that...
I can use the Argos app to pinpoint the perpetrator, since I have a wired connection with Bombi.
And when you figure out who it is, you'll shout the perp's number. Did you memorize your half Polon?
Yeah, somehow.
We couldn't figure out who the perp was just by looking, so we assigned numbers to everyone on the helipad. I couldn't remember all the numbers myself, so I split them with Rico. I memorized the numbers of the 27 people on the left side of the helipad, and she got the rest.
Alright, take this sealing device.
Bobby handed me something that looked like an earmuff.
When you put this over an ear with a carry node attached, it forces the person's BMI to shut down. Once someone has it on, they can't take it off either. So there's no way they'll be able to restart the pool hack.
The CCO's got a new toy, huh?
Using this will be easier than grabbing the perp's carry node, so it should work out okay.
Yeah, it'll help. I owe ya. How's it going, Wind? Wind?
I called him using BMI, but he didn't respond. Did something happen?
There's no time. Let's start the plan.
Yeah, alright.
For now, all I could do was trust Wind and go through with Operation Analog. I have to deal with any hiccups when they happened. I turned off my BMI and stepped out onto the helipad with Bombi and Rico. The helipad looked just like it had on the news. 56 victims standing around, absent-mindedly looking toward the Shinjuku crater. Even from the side I could tell their faces were blank and they weren't actually seeing anything. The three of us crouched, hiding behind the victims so the perp wouldn't see us. We looked across at the MTT building through their legs. The analog clock was working. The assigned minute hands began moving to the correct position and stopped at 23:59. Wind actually did it. I couldn't see Bombi or Rico from here, but they must have noticed it too. In silence we watched as the clock hands match. That was when
17!
I heard a voice coming from the other side of the open door, outside Li-Fi range. That was one of my numbers. 17 was standing on the outer side of the crowd, near the edge of the helipad. I looked to his position and saw a man looking around, startled by the sound of Iroha's voice. That had to be him. Zigzagging between the victims, I dashed towards him as fast as I could. His carrier node was on his right ear. I took out the sealing device and slapped it onto his ear.
Shit! What is this?
I noticed light returning to people's eyes. Bambi, who was standing at the back, started blinking too. She looked at me.
We did it!
Awesome!
We stopped the pool hack.
You motherfucker!
Herb glared at me and punched me square in the jaw. I staggered backwards. I found my footing after a few steps, but I'd run out of room to stand. There was no way. The birds wouldn't come. One of my feet had already stepped off the edge of the helipad. The other followed right after. I didn't have time to grab onto anything. What I could do was fall.
Huh?
While we waited at the entrance, something impossible happened before us.
Wait. You?
I felt the wind pushing against my back. It was irgendwas. Lock gibt's nicht. As the helipad got further and further away, I looked for any way to survive this. I reached out, hoping to grab onto a piece of rope that might be dangling down like a lifeline. I flailed my legs, hoping they might catch onto a news drone buzzing around. My BMI was flickering back on, but it didn't look like it'd be workable before I hit the ground. Out of all the times to not be able to load, I had no redos, no outs, no takebacks. I was going to die. My thoughts left my mouth as screams. I didn't want to die yet. I couldn't die yet. There were still things I needed to do.
Huh?
It was Juno. I couldn't believe it. But she appeared in front of me suddenly, like when she used her quantum teleportation. But this had to be a hallucination. Momo had Juno's carrier note. And even if Juno had it, there was no way she'd use it to help me. The hallucination kicked off the egg tower's wall, launching itself down toward me. I felt like I was watching an action film. This was some weird-ass end-of-life vision. Juno helped me. It had to be real. Touch had a human warmth, and the scent of her perfume was so intense I almost choked on it.
Con anima. With soul.
The moment I heard those words, I found myself standing on the ground, the surface. My knees were shaking. It was a struggle to stay standing. That was when my BMI finished pulling.
Are you okay?
Oh, am I glad to see this screen.
Did you fall off the helipad?
Yeah, but Juno helped me.
I saw you fall off on the live broadcast.
Takaoka, you good, bud?
Polly! Are you alive? Hey, Polly! Polly!
Well, we can still contact you, so I guess you're all right.
Yeah, kinda.
Once more people called to check if I was okay. Apparently a news drone had captured my fall on film.
We got the perp. The victims are unharmed. Besides you falling off the helipad, the plan was a complete success.
That's good to hear.
I calmed myself down by taking a bunch of deep breaths. I'd honestly thought I was gonna die. I sure hadn't expected Juno to save me. A message from Cicada. Ken Kurihisa was dead, but this Cicada was still alive. It was time to figure out what was going on with Cicada's identity. I shared my vision with the symphonies and opened the message.
Amadeus?
Huh? That's...
Video recording appeared on my BMI. I hit play.
I am Cicada 3301,
An AI operating on an independently modified Amadeus system framework.
Okay.
Kent Korihisa was the name of my original. Polon Takaoka, I finally found you. For years, I have been on a quest for a person who would meet my criteria, by which I mean either a highly intelligent individual or someone who has been contacted by a being often referred to as God or Holy Mother. Not spiritual concept, but rather observer.
Ich bin Gott? What? Observer? Why did you feel the need to specify that?
Holy Mother?
It was Momo who'd been contacted by the Virgin Mary, not me. The Cicada have us mixed up. Although God, Holy Mother, Observer, for some reason, hearing those words reminded me of you, Anon.
I was aware that you were searching for me. Thus, allow me to preemptively answer your question of, is there a way to circumvent the end?
Hell yeah!
That was exactly what we wanted to know.
In short, yes, the end can be averted. I am currently working on it, and I will share it with you when the time comes. But there is something that must be dealt with beforehand.
What could you mean by that?
I have seen the fate line before, and it showed a certain prediction. If I were to summarize it, then a calamity will appear prior to the end of the world, bringing further suffering and despair to humanity already faced with the end. It is as indicated in the Book of Revelation. If the onset of this calamity is not halted, the plan I am currently developing to avert the end will be for naught. As for the nature of said calamity, it is this individual.
What?
Yeah, dear. Him?
Asuma Soga. He is the head researcher at the Guy Institution, in charge of the Guy QCDC and their Earth simulator, Gaia. The child will contort into a calamity. That is what the fate line foretold. And the predestined day is approximately a week from now, January 8th. To be more specific, the moment that will prompt his transformation is immediately following the death of his mother, Miori Soga. Polon Takaoka, I require that you protect Miori Soga and prevent Asuma Soga from becoming the prophesized calamity. You are a contactee, meaning that you possess a miraculous power that should make this possible. Good luck.
Okay. That was where the message ended. Holy shit. It took a lot to hide it, but I was so damned hyped. Cicada finally reached out to me directly. There was something I needed to confirm first, though.
Miss Lid, are Amadeus versions of people the same as their originals?
I wouldn't say so, no. An Amadeus person diverges from their original. The memories they form after their creation are all their own.
Yeah.
It depends on when Kent Korihisa made his own Amadeus. But you should think of this version as a different person. If you want to know more, though, you should ask Kurisu.
Right now, it didn't matter whether Cicada was the original Kent Korihisa or an Amadeus version. The original might have been dead, but the Kent Korihisa who was coming up with the quests was still alive, which was good news for us. I didn't know why he'd gone out of his way to send me a video instead of just contacting me directly, but whatever.
You heard him, right? He said there's a way to save the world! We did it, Momo!
Momo's expression was bright, but then she lightly slapped her cheeks as if to focus.
We've really come a long way. From now on, we should do what Kent Korihisa tells us. Things should work out all right. I'm sure we'll accomplish our mission in time.
Kinda sounded like she was trying to convince herself. So
Hell yeah, we will!
Hearing the resolve in Momo's words, I nodded. We were in the year 2038, just over a month away from the day the world was projected to end.
Now, we just have to find a way to meet up with that bow tie boy.
I really hadn't expected Cicada to bring up Asuma Soga.
This was the first time he'd been involved in all this since the day I met Momo. I honestly had no idea what Cicada meant when he said the boy would become some calamity either. Now that we had a clear goal, we were hyped to get started. But there was someone I had to talk to before meeting up with Momo and Rosario. The quantum teleporter who'd saved my ass was standing some distance from me, looking completely uninterested. When our eyes met, she let out a sigh and shrugged.
You're done talking to Kent?
Yeah.
Stepping closer to her, I almost winced. Her perfume was way too strong.
Cicada was an Amadeus, but you knew that all along, huh?
Of course. What about it?
I wish she hadn't gone out of her way to show Momo the original Kent's corpse. That was in bad taste. Then again, my loading meant that had never actually happened, so whatever.
Thanks for the help. You showing up to save me wasn't something I saw coming.
Don't mention it. But bear in mind, that wasn't for your benefit, so don't push your luck.
Sheesh.
It was Kent. He told me to save you. That was the first time he asked anything of me. The first time ever. I couldn't ignore him, could I? That request was how I knew he actually acknowledges me. Oh, that's sad. I do despise the nature of it. Having to save you was almost too much to bear. I'm sure it feels wonderful to be his favorite.
Last sentence was dripping with contempt.
What's going on with your family anyway? How come you can use quantum teleportation? That's not normal. Is it a sacrament? Like what those Holy Office 513 asswipes use?
Don't lump me with the likes of the fanatics chasing after Kent. This is a power I obtained through Kent's research. He was also conducting research on quantum physics. He abandoned his work, but I happened to find it. I picked up where he left off. Well, it was much simpler than you'd think. It's just a matter of grasping the reality of how this world works.
I can't even imagine how you actually frickin' teleport, so yeah, I gotta admit, you're pretty impressive.
Forget about me. If you're going to praise anyone, praise Kent. Or are you stupid? I won't hesitate to kill you.
What?
She was unhinged. Suddenly her expression changed, and she smiled.
Oh, I have a nice idea. My full name, is Juno Saionji. Kent and I were born to different mothers. Now that you know my name, we're allies.
Okay. What kind of logic was that?
I want you to do everything you can to meet Kent's expectations. And when his hopes for you are at an all-time high, you're going to let me kill you.
Oh.
That will fill him with such despair that I may even become the subject of his hateful gaze. And he'll do more than acknowledge me if I do. He'll come to see me through a veil of even more intense emotion. And when he does, I'll kill myself. Blood will plaster the walls. All manner of awful fluids will flow from me.
Yeah?
Such a sweet dream. The things I would do to die knowing I'd made a lasting impression on my brother. Just thinking about it sends me out of this world. A wonderful plan, isn't it?
That was terrifying. What kind of an alliance was she proposing here? Knew she was bad news, but this is ridiculous.
I want nothing to do with that noise. Count me out.
What a milquetoast man you are.
Milquetoast? Was that really the word for it?
In that case, don't involve yourself with Kent any longer either. You're a nuisance.
But he asked me to do something.
Yeah.
Oh? Is that so? Kent already asked you to do something? What was it?
She placed a hand on her exposed thigh and dug into it with her long nails. They broke the skin and drew blood.
Hey!
What was it? What manner of nonsense? I'm so jealous. I think I'm gonna lose it. I see. So you're stealing him. You're going to steal Kent from me. I won't let you have him. Never! I refuse! You homewrecker!
What?
Did he just slap me?
Hey!
He glanced up to scowl at her, but she was already gone. She'd vanished in an instant, only the faint smell of perfume lingered.
What the hell?
Talk about a one-sided conversation. Like brother, like sister.
Woman was absolutely deranged.
Huh? Hey, you...
I shall involve myself in whatever Kent has asked you to do. You've no right to refuse me. I won't let you have him all to yourself. If you do anything without me, I'll kill you, and then myself. I'm watching you. Always. Every single second. I will see everything you do.
What a pain in the ass.
But she could be a big help.
Really? I seriously don't want to get involved with her any further. She's got those stalker vibes.
She's one of those little sisters who likes their brother a little too much. It's not often you get to see women like her in real life. Her love must go deep, deep like a pitch-black abyss.
If Juno's Ken Korihisa's sister, how old is she now?
Kent worked at the Vatican in 2012. If he was in his 20s at the time, then Juno...
Well, age is just a number.
I chose not to think about it too much. Ist mal wie viel jünger die ist. Ansonsten, ja, wäre sie so. Wäre sie jetzt so in ihren 30ern, 40ern, irgendwie sowas. Naja. Kann ich die Gemachten eigentlich auch irgendwie... Weide. Wiki sagt... Okay, das eine Wiki sagt... Ja, ihr Geburtstag ist zwischen dem zwischen dem 19. November 2008 und 2017. Andere Notiz meint, dass er in ihren 20ern ist. Na gut.